How's it going, everybody? Today, you can ask me anything about politics, and I will answer. Ask me any question that you like about politics, and I will do my best to give you a good answer. There's no debating, there's no roasting. I'm not here to make you feel silly or dumb or wrong for having whatever beliefs that you have. I am just here. What's up, Anima? Good to see you again. I am just here to answer your questions, your good faith questions about politics. Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. I hope that you all are having a good week so far, and I am here to answer your questions about politics. I know that politics can be really intimidating if you don't know anything about it. I remember before I knew anything about politics, I was always really scared to ask people questions about it because I did not want people to think I was stupid or uneducated. And now I make myself available to all of you to answer your questions about politics. And I promise that I will not make you feel that way. I do not believe in making people feel dumb or ashamed for not knowing things and for trying to learn new things. So you can ask me anything that you like about politics. I am here and available to answer your questions. There's no debating. There's no roasting. You don't got to worry about, if I ask this question, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic, or if I ask this question, he's going to think I'm some sort of squishy lib. There's no judgments. There's no debating. You just ask me whatever you like. I do not believe in making people feel dumb for not knowing things. I do not believe in making people feel ashamed for not knowing things. This is an open environment. You can ask me something simple or something complicated. Will Brophy says, why is Trump taking credit for the deal in the Middle East today? Because that's what he does. He takes credit for the things that he doesn't do, that he hasn't done, and he also blames everybody else for the mistakes that he clearly made. Moth, how do you feel about the two-party system? I'm not crazy about the two-party system, but I do think that it gets kind of blamed for problems that are not necessarily, it. Without ranked choice voting, trying to get third parties into our political system only serves as spoiler candidates. I also think that people can be a little bit too precious about their politics, where they're like, I'm not voting for somebody unless I know that they are 100% perfect and on my team. Whereas I think that voting should be a little bit more like taking the bus. You try to get as close to your destination as humanly possible. Edward, do you think California politics are a problem? I mean, I think there are issues everywhere, but I'd still much rather live in a state that is governed by Democrats. Oh no, having some connection issues. So yeah, I think there's definitely problems with every state's governments, but I would still much rather live in a state governed by Democrats than a state governed by Republicans. Lair Bear of Hampton, how do you feel about America be in the World Bank? Actually, I got to be honest, I'm not too familiar with the functions of the World Bank, so I can't speak on that. TMed00, somebody told me it was bad that Biden used oil reserves to lower gas prices. Can you explain? Yeah, there are people who are a little bit extreme about the transition to green energy. I think that we need to be a little bit more open-minded about it because America does have some pretty significant energy needs. And, considering the political environment that we live in, where anything that a Democratic administration does that makes life even a little bit more difficult for Americans, even if it is service of something like transitioning to renewable energy, people get really fucking upset about it, and then they vote for Republicans en masse. See this past election as an example. So yeah, I'm very passionate about our transition to green energy, and I think it can't happen fast enough for my taste. But I also recognize the political realities that we are living under, and if we could somehow convince Americans to do without 5% of the luxuries that they have been able to enjoy their entire lives in order to expedite the transition to green energy, I would vote for that, but I don't think you can convince Americans to do that. TMed00, great. I have a full electric car, not an Elon one. That's great. I think electric cars are definitely better than gas cars, but I mean, I definitely prefer walkable cities over everything else. All right. SXM says, what about transgenders in sports? I don't believe that the people who care about this issue actually care about this issue. Like, there's something like 0.001% of all athletes deal with this. So yeah, I think it has been weaponized by the right. I think that regular people don't give a shit. Edward, do you think it's easier to change the climate or to adapt to a changing climate? It's easier to change the climate. Eric, who would replace politics with blockchain? No. Britt, what's your opinion on the Federal Reserve? This is another one where it's like I've heard so many different things from so many different people that I'm not. I need to do a little bit more research on it to sort of like suss it out. I think that the way that the Republican Party is going to try to take over the Fed is a bad thing, though. James D. McElroy says, what about divisive people? I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, I speak pretty harshly about Republican politicians and the billionaire class and right wing talking heads like, Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and, Tim Pool and all those fucking ding dongs. But I try to make it very clear that while I do not love the way that certain people voted in this country, that they are, we are all the citizens who are responsible for voting and keeping our government in check. And we are all the 99% of people who are being fucked over by the billionaire class. And so we need to unite for that. So, yeah, I think that anybody who is specifically trying to bait the leftist voters versus the right-wing voters, I think we should all be extremely skeptical of those people because, yeah, that is just trying to create fighting amongst the working class, middle class, and poor class so that the billionaire class can continue fucking us over and taking all of our resources, and we don't ever, readjust our sights on the billionaires and the Republican Party that is in league with them. Viver0411 says, good afternoon, can Biden do anything about the flag situation? I don't know. I'm not familiar with the law around flying flags half-mast for a deceased former president. So, yeah, I mean, it's so fucking petty. It's just like dumb fucking Republican petty bullshit. Like, all these fucking Republican politicians have to bend the knee so fucking hard and S Trump's D so hard that they're like, I'm not going to do just like the tiniest little show of respect to a former president just because he was a president from the other party. It's like, fucking grow up, man. And I would hope the Republican voters would look at this and be like, look at how fucking immature these people are. Maybe I'm going to reconsider who I vote for next time. But, it hasn't happened so far. I keep on hoping. White Cheddar Max says, can you explain the party switch to the dummies who don't get it here? After Kennedy was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson sort of took over the presidency because he was the vice president at the time. Up until that point, the Democratic Party was the pro-worker party, but they were also a little bit more the anti-equal rights party. They were a little bit more the pro-racism party and anti-minorities party. But then when Lyndon B. Johnson got into office, he signed a bill that I believe was called the Equality Amendment, the Act or something like that. I always forget the name of this bill, but it's like it's like the Equality Act or something like that. I forget what it's called, which was basically the Civil Rights Act or something like that, which basically was trying to rectify some equality issues between white America and black America. And as he signed that into law, he literally said Democrats just lost the South for like 50 years or something like that. And at that point, the party ideologies switched completely. Where the Republican Party had always been a little bit more pro business, pro rich person. Now they sort of like scooped up all of the racist voters that used to vote consistently Democrat because those voters felt betrayed by the Democratic Party for now adopting a pro civil rights style of politics and the pro civil rights platform. I hope that answers your question. Magnus Pie9 says, you don't know shit. What did I get wrong? Brood, what's the difference between Maoism and Leninism? I couldn't speak to that. I have that much knowledge about it, but not enough to opine about it. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Tony, these type of people are mad because they're going to get their rights taken away from them. I don't know what you're referring to there, Tony. And also makes you seem like do you think that people shouldn't be mad that they're getting the rights taken away from them? Or, John Fox says Trump gets a win in Israel. I think that's rich. I don't buy that at all. Let's see here. Brood, Democrat and Republican are over. This is class war. Yeah, but the Democratic Party is more in line with the working class, and the Republican Party is more in line with the billionaire class. So let's use the Democratic Party to perpetuate the rights of the working class and the poor class and the middle class because they are on our team. You know, not all of them. You know, I don't think that Senator, what's his name, from New Jersey, the guy that had gold bars in his pocket, I don't think that he was a champion of the working class, you know, but the Democratic Party in general is. Let's see here. Brood says, let's not, the Dems do nothing. Okay, you're spreading propaganda and you are out of here. Let's see here. Cornbread Nelson, do you believe the Republican Party is turning more libertarian? I do not. I have not seen any evidence of that. Right now, the Republican Party is the MAGA party. Donald Trump is in charge of it. But there are all these different factions that are trying to get Trump to do the various things that they want. You know, like the deficit hawks want to decrease spending. They want to cut taxes, but the industry tech bros, they want cutting regulations and subsidies, which is going to balloon the deficit, and tax cuts for the rich. RFK is going to try to get the chemicals out of our food, and the billionaire class is going to be like, no, don't do that because we want that money. So yeah, it's a whole fucking thing, man. There's I forget even what the original question was. Yeah, I don't believe that the Republican Party is turning more libertarian. If anything, they're turning more fascist authoritarianism. Jason Confused 22, the entire Democratic Party is paranoid and controlled by the black suits that only care for the government. That is not true at all, Jason Confused. It seems like you're spreading propaganda, so I am going to get you out of here. Goodbye. Let's see here. John Fox, it is good news that a ceasefire and trade for hostages. I mean, it's good news for the people of that region, but I don't think Trump owns that at all. He's not fucking in office. Also, he's probably the reason why October 7th happened in the first place. Oscar, do you think people should take some type of neutral education on politics to be able to vote? I mean, I think that would be kind of cool, but I don't know. I worry about that sort of thing turning into another Jim Crow era poll tax sort of a thing where it's just a mechanism to try to get certain people to vote, trying to stop certain people from voting. I think making sure that people pass civics maybe would be a good thing, but I also think that high schools should prioritize civics. I think we should have education prioritize civics before we make some sort of a mandate where you have to pass civics if you want to be able to vote. Lovely Renee says Trump is not the reason the ceasefire happened. I completely agree with you. Trump billionaire guy negotiated ceasefire. John Fox, you are spreading misinformation, so you are out of here. Let's see here. Najee says, why do Kamala supporters have zero testosterone? I gave your mom all my testosterone last night, so that's probably where it went. Banana says, why are politicians allowed to invest in China? I don't know. I don't know why politicians are allowed to do any stock trading. I think that if you have your money in a blind trust, and a lot of those trusts have coverage of international markets, I think that should be allowed. But I definitely don't think that they should be financially incentivized to help certain companies in other countries, or help certain help certain countries in certain companies in this country. Ball Maine says, why do we the people continue to let Freemasons run the country? That's conspiracy theory shit, Ball Maine. So you're out of here. Sorry, buddy. Let's see here. Lucas 34567 says Nancy Pelosi is a great trader. Well, yeah, she has insider information. It's incredible how good of a stock trader you can be when you have insider information. But I also think that it is worth it to note that Nancy Pelosi is not the only politician who is doing that, and there's only one party that is even serious about stopping that, and that's the Democratic Party. People like to tout out Nancy Pelosi as the one example of a politician using insider information to make themselves rich when the entire Republican Party does it, but also it's their policy that they should be able to do it, as opposed to the Democratic Party actually putting forth a bill to stop it. Let's see here. Pooh Blue says, how do you feel about raising tariffs? I'm against it. It's going to be a vehicle for corruption. It's going to raise cost of living. It's going to hurt American citizens. Teddy7082, what's your opinion on lobbying as a whole? I think it's basically become a mechanism for rich people to get their way in Washington. The idea of lobbying is not bad. Like, not every politician is an expert in every field, so it is incumbent on people to be able to communicate the specifics of different issues to politicians, and it's difficult to get access to them because, you know, they have a lot of representatives that they got a lot of citizens that they got to constituents they got to look out for. But yeah, I don't think the lobbying system now is working at all. You know, some way to communicate this information to our politicians is good, but definitely not that, because right now it's just a mechanism for corruption. Sabrina, Democrats can give millions to Ukrainians, but 700. Yeah, that's complete bullshit, Sabrina. That is, you've fallen for Republican propaganda, Sabrina. I'm sorry you fell for it, but all of that is all complete and utter Republican bullshit. So I would encourage you to get your news from other sources, because everything you just said in your comment there was a lie, Sabrina. Why can Trump even run for president when he is a convicted felon? I think that, I mean, he wasn't a convicted felon when he started running for president. Also, there's no law that says convicted felons can't be president. It's the Air Bud rule of governing. You know, it's like there's no law that says a convicted felon can't be president. But yeah, the thing is, all of these laws, they need people to enforce them. And when you have half of the government, more than half of the government, and more than half of the judiciary taken over by the MAGA Republican Party, they're going to stop the other people from enforcing the laws that would have put Trump in jail instead of allowing him to be president again. So, you know, you can blame Republicans for all this bullshit at the end of the day. Britt says, Citizens United needs to be overturned. Completely agree with that. Sue H, y'all need to read about Islam. Y'all will have nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's not really a question about politics, Sue H. The visionary, should Biden or Trump get credit for the ceasefire? I think Biden, because he's the one who's in office right now. But also, you know, like, the Netanyahu government was dragging their feet on the ceasefire because they did not want to give a political win to the Biden administration because they wanted Trump to get elected. So I don't really give a shit about giving anybody credit for the ceasefire. I think the ceasefire is good, but I think that it is short-sighted and a little bit dim-witted to look at the ceasefire and see that as just the political genius of either Biden or Trump, when the main motivating factor was Netanyahu wanting to remain prime minister because he wanted to stay out of jail, and also wanting to help Donald Trump because he thought that a Trump presidency would be better for him than a Harris presidency. Post-punk freak says, opinion on Mao Zedong. I don't know enough about him to have an opinion. Rat, ceasefire should have happened months ago also. Yeah, absolutely, completely agree with that. But, you know, Netanyahu was not going to allow that to happen because it was in his best interest for it not to happen. Alan, how do you think your Democrats handled the fire situation in LA? I think they made mistakes, but I think on the whole, they did a pretty fucking good job. I'm going to say, you know, A- probably. There's a lot of misinformation about how the Democrats in California handled the fire, and so I would encourage you guys, if you think it was the reason why it was such a problem is because it was thoroughly mishandled by our government, I think you need to get your information from different sources, because that's all Republican bullshit. Let's see here. Alan says, good job, question mark? Wow, exclamation point. Yeah, you're one of those people that I'm talking about, Alan. I think you need to get your information from different sources. Kay, no one can handle a natural disaster perfectly. Every situation is unique. Completely agree on that. Xander, thoughts on Pete Hegseth? He's a fucking nightmare. He's a Trump sycophant. He's a Trump yes man. You need somebody in that position who is willing to say no to the president, and he is not somebody who is willing to do that. If the president orders the military to shoot American civilians because they are protesting, you need somebody in that position to say no, and he is not going to say no. Also, I think that all of these scandals involving him, like being physically and emotionally violent to women, are probably disqualifying. I think the fact that he's an alcoholic that goes to work drunk sometimes is probably concerning as well. So yeah, he's like one of a long list of Trump pieces of shit that should not be anywhere near the levers of power. Let's see here. Okay. Corey C44. Thoughts on Democrats wanting to remove TikTok? It's not just Democrats. It is Democrats and Republican. That was a bipartisan bill that passed. Leads 60. The Attorney General he's putting forward is like a complete no-go. I don't know if she is a complete no-go. You know, they put the stop to Matt Gaetz, but Republicans only have so much patience for, you know, standing up to Donald Trump. They fold pretty easily after they put up a fight for Matt Gaetz. They're probably going to say yes to whoever the next fucking ding dong is that he puts forward. Justin H., who'd you vote for? Democrats up and down the ballot. Clown Shoes, good thing nobody cares about Beta Boy BS political nonsense. Your mom cared about it last night. Andy Barefoot, did the political parties switch? They did. I just went over that. Lyndon B. Johnson, look it up. User a whole bunch of numbers. Is the Latino move to the right real? If so, is it permanent? So there's been a lot of hay made about the way that certain groups, minorities, LGBTQ, people of color, the working class have sort of like moved towards Trump's direction. But I think my personal opinion about that is that it has a lot more to do with propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and a lack of education. The more people that do not get a sufficient education, the more people of all demographics are going to be voting Republican. That is statistically accurate. You can fight me on that if you want, but just give it a Google. And so I don't think that they are chipping away at the Hispanic population or the black population. I think that as there are more and more white people who are not getting a good education, I think there are more and more black people and Latino people who are not getting a good education. And so, like I said, when people that don't get educated, when that number increases, Republican voter turnout increases as well. Let's see here. Lovely Renee says, do you think Hegseth will be confirmed? I don't know, Lovely. I'm so sorry. I don't know. Like I said, Republicans don't really have a lot of spine when it comes to standing up to Donald Trump, so it could go either way. I've got no fucking idea. Let's see here. Moderate says anti-incumbency is a bigger deal than woke agenda. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Moderate, but there definitely was an anti-incumbency bias that hurt Democrats this cycle. Let's see here. Hein201 says, typical Dem, all talking points, no facts. Cool, thanks for coming, and thanks for leaving as well. Let's see here. Ava, why do we have a split political system instead of a mixed membership? I don't know. I think that the parties kind of they like the shorthand. They like being able to say, I'm a member of this party. It's a little bit of a shorthand, where if I say that I'm a Democrat, that I believe in climate change, and I believe in taxing the rich, and I believe in universal health care, and I believe in equality for, marginalized groups, and I believe in increased voter turnout, and anti-corruption shit. And if you say that you're a Republican, then you believe that, climate change is a hoax, and there should be no gun control, and we should just be doing trickle-down economics, even though it's been proven to be false for the past 45 years. I think that shorthand kind of helps things, and it really just depends on how the political dichotomy works in this country. FPS.mov says, do you hate Mexicans? No, I have family that are Mexican. Let's see here. Tally, so small town USA here, a lot of offices didn't have Democratic contenders, so had to vote D down ballots. That's one of the consequences of Democrats having a lot less access to billionaire money, is that we're not able to fund candidacies in every district. And it is one of the reasons why the playing field is uneven and hurts Democrats and Democratic candidates. Rocco says, did you vote for Trump? No. Claire says, Reagan has made everybody's lives worse. Absolutely agree with that. Kevin, where has socialism worked? Let's see here. The post office, public education, public roads, the fire department, the military, Norway, Sweden, Canada, France, Germany, lots of places. Let's see here. Steve Doll 6, Democrats are nothing but a communist party of baby killers. Cool. I actually don't care if you disagree with me on things, but actually ask a question and don't just spread your bullshit. Otherwise, you're going to get blocked. Kevin says, that's not socialism. Okay, well, that's what we want. So, I don't know what you're fucking complaining about. Ori Flo says, Dems short on money. Hilarious delusions. No, it's accurate. You can give it a Google. 75% of all billionaire donations went to the Republican Party. That's not including dark money donations, of which we have no idea how much money went in there. Most tech billionaires are, in the pocket of the Republican Party. Most billionaires in general are in the pocket of the Republican Party. The fossil fuel industry is in the pocket of the Republican Party. Find me where Democrats compete financially there. Mark Kloppel says, would single-payer healthcare benefit the majority of Americans? Absolutely. Infidel Pinky, socialism only works under capitalism. I'm not sure that is accurate. Let's see here. Leeds 60 says, corporate welfare. There's an example of welfare. Yeah, there you go. Let's see here. Kevin says, 2/3 of black money went to Democrats. Google works. Okay, but what is your point there, Kevin? Let's see here. Orico Flow says Tech, California. Yeah, just because something's in California doesn't mean that it's completely Democrat. Let's see here. Alan, how much money did poor Hunter swindle? I do not know that he swindled any money. There's been no substantive evidence, despite the fact that the Republicans held a bajillion hearings about it. They never came up with anything substantive. Rocco says, can we debate? No, I do not do debates. BK, do you believe the third party will ever be a viable option? Absolutely, but they have to actually do the groundwork instead of just running for president every 4 years, doing these fucking stupid cash grab, ego-driven, spoiler candidate, fucking, bullshit runs for presidency. Like, actually build up some local infrastructure the way that the Working Families Party is. But until you do, the Green Party and Libertarian Party can fucking miss me with that bullshit. Let's see here. Alan, to say Democrats don't have money is ludicrous. I didn't say they didn't have any money. I said the Republicans have a lot more money. Orioko Flow says, does all public works equal socialism to you? Was the Roman Colosseum socialism? Yes, that's exactly what it means. Everybody chips in a little bit of money to buy things that benefit everybody. That is what socialism is. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Supersonic Green, can I ask you about politics? Yeah. Put it in the chat. 600 Selly the God says most Democratic states have the highest GDP. Yeah, that's accurate. And red states would not survive without the assistance of blue state tax dollars. A whole bunch of emoji says, why haven't Dems attacked the Capitol yet? Because we're not psychopaths who believe in, who believe in misinformation, disinformation at the rate that Republicans do. Let's see here. Noah Zupanik says, is the era of the two-term presidents over? I don't believe so. We're just gonna have to wait and see if the Republicans in Congress and the judiciary allow Trump to stay in office after his term is up in 4 years. It's anybody's guess whether or not that happens. But I know that it is his intention to die in office. We'll just see if the other Republicans allow him to get away with it. We'll just see if people are able to vote in enough Democrats for them to take over the House or the Senate, or actually have some, control over the the Trump administration, and see if they're able to then stop him. Let's see here. Carmine, how is Meta not fact-checking not a national security threat? I think it is a national security threat. Lead 60, we can't have universal health care because we give too much to our military. I don't think that's accurate. I think we let billionaires take too much of our money and store them in offshore bank accounts where they don't pay taxes. I think if we just taxed the billionaires out of existence to the point where there were only 900 millionaires instead, not 900 meaning that's how many millionaires, but 900 million being the largest amount of money that you're allowed to have, then of course we could have universal health care and universal college and shit like that. I'm Offended said, why is it considered acceptable for the average age of a politician to be 80? I think that we're kind of like stuck in this idea of like what a politician is, and our politicians kind of age. I think this sort of thing happens in the culture every once in a while. Like if you notice in the 70s, all the movie stars were like way too old. Like Roger Moore was like fucking, I don't know, 80 bajillion years old when he was playing James Bond or something. Everything's like felt old in the 70s because we kind of say like, like certain generations get to decide like who the movie stars are. And so like we decided that Tom Cruise was a movie star in the 90s. I mean, earlier than that, but then he had a comeback in the 90s. And, and now he is still the movie star, even though he is way older. And so, yeah, I think people just kind of get their minds stuck on certain things, where they're like, Nancy Pelosi, that's a politician. Joe Biden, that's a politician. And it's a lot harder for them to wrap their head around younger people like Maxwell Frost or AOC or even, Harris, who's in her 60s as opposed to being in her 80s, I don't think it's acceptable, but I think that's the reason why people they tend to get in a rut and they tend to vote for the gerontocracy. Temp, of all the people who could have chosen to worship, they chose the dude from The Apprentice. Yeah, no arguments here. Alex Nieves says, just stop voting for bad people. I think they need to do more than that, Alex. I think that they need to vote for better people. And it's not about, I noticed I didn't say vote for good people, because then you got people going to be arguing about, oh, is this person good because they signed this bill? Because I think that makes them 100% evil. No, you have to vote for better people. You have an option whenever you vote to vote for the better person or the worst person for whatever issue it is that you care about. And if you always vote for the better person, then we'll eventually get to good and maybe even great one day. I Am Your Dad says, we are beyond cooked. I don't believe that the game is over, but I do believe that we're in for a really rough 4 years. So I would encourage you, I'm your dad, to not be defeatist and to not be cynical, because we can get through this if people do the work. And if we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. Catastrophic Blues 113 says, LOL, have you read the article from the creator of The Apprentice? Yikes. I have not read that article. Which are you referring to, Catastrophic Blues? Trey Bobber says, pretty sure if we gave the government 999 zillion, we still wouldn't have free stuff, LOL. It's the government. I mean, but if we mandate that those are the things that we're going to be using that to pay for. Here's the thing, Trey Bomber. The government isn't in and of itself corrupt. It's the people that we appoint. It's people that we vote for. So if we vote in people who believe in taxing the rich and then using that money to give people shit, then that is what we will get. If we vote in people that want universal healthcare, universal basic income, universal college, 4-day work week, stronger unions, paid family leave, shit like that, then that's what we get. The government isn't a machine that destroys all of our hopes and dreams and gives it to billionaires. It's politicians that do that. So we need to vote for better politicians. Somebody asked to define better. That's what better is. Better is actually governing for the people instead of just governing for the rich. Goliath, what platform will you be on after TikTok is gone? I'm on most social media platforms. I kind of hate them all. I'm a content creator, so I have to use them. But, I multicast onto TikTok, onto YouTube, onto Twitch, sometimes onto Facebook, but I'm mad at them right now, so I have not re-logged in a minute. I also just got back from the road, so, I'm a little bit discombobulated. But, yeah, look for me everywhere. I'm around, and I hope that you will follow me if you are a fan. Let's see here. Trey Bomber, everyone just screams tax the rich, but even if we did, we wouldn't see that money ever. You don't know that, Trey Bomber. That's really cynical of you to say that, and I would encourage you not to be that cynical. Moby and Mabel, does boycotting work? It kinda does, but the problem is that because of Reaganomics, the country has become a lot more monopolized. And so what you think you're boycotting when you don't go to, X restaurant or buy Y can of soup, that company that owns that company probably owns the soup that you were going to buy or owns the other restaurant that you were going to go to. So yes, boycotting does have an effect, but it has been severely diluted by the monopolization of American society. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Tipsy said Republicans are against red notes. I don't really have any strong feelings about red note. I think it's funny that people have chosen another Chinese app to go to, where the government could just do the same thing they did to Red Note that they did to fucking TikTok. Lead 60, companies don't raise wages. People they buy their stock back to raise their companies higher. Yeah, I agree with that. Mark Kloppel, how should we determine how many immigrants we allow to become citizens? I'm not really sure what the metric for that should be, but I do think that we need a clearer pathway to citizenship. I think we need to staff our asylum system with more judges and our immigration system with more workers so that we can facilitate people actually becoming citizens of this country who want to be citizens of this country and want to be good law-abiding citizens who are going to be valuable members of their community and valuable members of the country. Immigration is a net positive on this country, so I am for it. Leverin says, how does the common person with a good idea get a politician to listen to it? You need to convince other people to agree with you and then use the power of all of those people to reach the politician. There is a thing called Indivisible that you should look up, and it is all about starting political action groups like that. Let's see here. 600 Selly the God says, so invite more people in while we have an increase of American homelessness. Yeah, that's not, immigration is not the reason why we have homelessness. 600 Selly the God. Rich people is the reason why we have homeless people. Rich, corrupt, greedy people is the reason why we have homelessness in America. Alda, do you think we should be giving Trump credit for the ceasefire? No. Not even a little bit. Mark Kloppel, fully agree. You're damn sensible. I'm following. Thanks, Mark. Follow me everywhere just in case. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Simply put, if people pay attention and do what we're supposed to do, vote and not information. Yeah, we've all got to be extremely careful with the things that we are learning on social media because, it's the Wild West and there's no fact checking anywhere anymore. And, these social media companies all have their own agenda, and you got to worry about if you're falling for misinformation, disinformation, if you're falling for propaganda narratives. You got to be careful. Everybody's got to be careful. Mr. Steven, where are you on the political spectrum? I'm probably closest to like a progressive AOC, Bernie Sanders style. Definitely closer to that than I am a Republican. 600 Sully the God, the government is giving the benefits to the immigrants. The government is giving benefits to everybody, and immigrants actually put more money into the tax system than they take out in benefits. 600 Sully the God. The same government that can give those benefits to help the homeless of America. 600 Sully the God, it's not about immigrants. It is about rich people. I don't understand why you don't see that. And if you keep on spamming my comments with this bullshit propaganda instead of actually engaging in a conversation, then I'm going to block you, my man, because if you're not listening to the things that I'm saying, you're not engaging. Fine says we actually benefit from immigrants. That is accurate. White Sheep over on YouTube says, is the politics space easy become a part of? I believe I have the knowledge, but I don't know the best way to leverage it. It depends on what you're trying to get into. Like if you're trying to run for office, that's a little difficult. But if you're just trying to volunteer for a campaign, that's very easy. Campaigns are always hungry for volunteers, especially now just after an election. They tend to get a lot of volunteers during the last year or 8 months of an election. And if you're interested in getting into politics, the time to do work is now. Rat says, what are your thoughts on the Federal Reserve? I don't know, but isn't it unconstitutional? Honestly, it's not my area of expertise, Rat, so I would, I'm going to stop myself from opining about it before I get a more concrete foundation to believe in. Earl of the King. Dems don't back farmers, so I don't back them. Democrats do back farmers. What are you talking about, Earl of the King? Stick Tuck says, why are Americans so addicted to social media? Entertainment addiction? Social media is addicting. It's addicting for everybody. And so, I wouldn't blame that on, Americans or the American culture specifically. They're designed to be addictive. Let's see here. 600 Sully the God. Running for office is pretty easy. $5,000 to grassroots donations and put your name on the line. That's accurate. 600 Sully the God. But you said so many wrong things about immigration that I thought it was going to be some more bullshit, my man. Let's see here. Vincent, what are your thoughts on Citizens United? I'm against it. Get rid of it. Lead 60. We can't afford to go out and do things, so just stay on your phone. Yeah, there's also the affordability crisis. That's part of the reason why people just stick to their phones. Horny Baked Ham. Thoughts on Lena Khan? She's awesome, and I wish that we had another Democratic administration coming in this year and that she could continue doing the great work that she was doing. Devil's Advocate 89. How do people actually think either party serves them? Because the parties do serve certain people, and sometimes they serve more people, certain groups more than others. The Republican Party helps out the rich more than they help out everybody else. And the Democratic Party helps out everybody a little bit. But of course there are politicians who are not great. But, there's differences between the parties and there's differences between politicians. And to paint them all with the same broad brush does a disservice to the good ones and, gives cover to the bad ones. Let's see here. Badger75 says Zuckerberg is a tool. Completely agree with that. Lead 60. When the representatives of the party are for the country, it works. But we just have BS. Leads, again, that's a little bit simplistic. I don't agree with that at all. I think that it doesn't do anybody any favors to be cynical about government or the parties or politicians in general. You should champion political parties and the government and certain politicians when they do things that deserve recognition and kudos. And we should criticize them and scold them and vote against them and primary them and go to their office and yell and scream at them and demand that they be better when they don't do good things for us. Tanner, what's your favorite thing about President Trump? He's probably not long for this world because he's a very old and unhealthy person. Katie L. the Wolf, what is the ideal world according to people of your similar political view? I don't think that, people would be... No human should be starving. No human should be without shelter. Just because you can't get a job does not mean that you do not get to exist and don't get to have a nice life. I think that a family should be able to exist on a single income. I think education should be free and available to everybody who wants it. I think that we need to be regulating weapons and have a more fair and just legal system. I think that we should have a world that is run on renewable clean energy. so that it is cheap and better for the environment and better for all of our health. That is what that world looks like, I think. 600 Silly the God says, now over the last 60 years, the Democratic Party has destroyed the black. That's more bullshit. 600 Sally, again, you're this close to getting blocked, buddy. Let's see here. Bryce, do you agree that using fossil fuels in the meantime will help us develop clean energy faster? I mean, it's a balancing act. You know, like, I don't love the fact that we were drilling so much more oil during the Biden administration, but at the same time, we had exponentially higher energy needs because of AI and cryptocurrency. And so, you know, at the same time that we were doing this massive, unprecedented investment in green technology, we were revitalizing small towns with green energy jobs. We were printing for a while a nuclear power plant's worth of solar panels every day. That stuff is amazing, but it was all getting drunk up by fucking AI and blockchain shit. So, you know, we still needed to satiate the unquenchable energy thirst of the American populace. And I think if, you know, maybe if people could be cool about it, you know, we could cut down on our fossil fuel usage so that we could expedite our transition to green energy. But I think that you only need to look at this past election to recognize that people are not voting in a way that takes all of this shit into consideration. Let's see here. Tanner, 5 days until we turn the tide and take back our country. Yeah, Tanner, sorry, but that's a block. You know, I know that's not very inflammatory what you said, but it wasn't a question. It wasn't part of the conversation. It was just gloating. No says, I'm huge in cryptos, but I know we are slowly being led to the beast system. I don't know what that means, the beast system. 600 Sally the God, 60 years from 1965. How do you look at the black community today? I'm not really sure what you're getting at, 600 Sally the God. I think there are certain things about the culture of America that have been better, that is better for black Americans right now, and in certain ways it's worse for black Americans right now. I think that the Republican Party is, you know, has been instrumental in rolling back some of the progress that the black community has felt. And, you know, I would put the blame for that squarely on not just Republicans and the Republican Party, but on the Republican Party's platform, like their whole ethos. We're going to be the toughest on crime as as an umbrella for locking up as many black people as humanly possible. Their equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome being an excuse for only hiring white people, even if you have equally qualified black candidates. So yeah, you know, there you go. Arlo the King, Joe Biden is not pro-union. He hates the union, but he lies and says he's their biggest supporter. All right, that is a block, Arlo the King, because that is complete and utter bullshit, and it is not a question. Joe Biden was one of the most pro-union presidents we've ever had, probably the most pro-union since FDR, and you can miss me with that shit. Mars One Man, do you think Trump coming to office helped push the ceasefire in Gaza? No, I do not. No, cryptos will create a cashless society. The end times are here. I mean, I don't know what you mean by cashless society, since crypto is technically cash. Yeah, I'm not really sure. White Sheep over on YouTube says, number one policy you would implement? That's difficult, because I think that ending income inequality is probably the most pressing issue for the American people. But I also think that there are a lot of really good policies that we could implement if we first fix our electoral system to make it so that Republicans don't have such a massive advantage over the Democratic Party. And that is not me saying that because I'm a Democrat. I just think that it should be fair. And I think that everybody's vote should be equal. And I think that representation should be based on, population and not gerrymandered districts and arbitrary state lines and shit like that. Let's see here. Scrolling down to the bottom. Jay, do you know anything about the Canadian Prime Minister? I just don't know why he was so bad. Yeah, Jay, I'm not really 100% sure about that either. It's like, every time I heard anything about Justin Trudeau, it always seemed kind of fine to me. I think probably a lot of that is incumbency bias. Like, everybody's upset about who was in charge during the post-COVID inflation that was caused by Trump. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Najee says, why do Kamala supporters have zero testosterone? Again, I gave all your testosterone to your mom last night. That's where my testosterone went. 600 study the God Republicans were created in 1854, the Civil War, 1861. Why did that happen if the Republicans wanted to end slavery? What did the Democrats want? 600 study the God. All right, you're full of shit. Do you not know that the party switched? You're just promoting propaganda here, man. You're out of here. Go, leave. Sorry, not sorry. Adonia, what's your opinion on deregulation? It's a bad idea. America, 1824. What's continuity of operations? I'm not really sure what you are asking there. Nug, why do Democrats not realize Latinos are culturally conservative? I think Democrats do realize that. Sarah Conkle, he wasn't that bad, but conservatives and disinformation have ruined public opinion. You're talking about Justin Trudeau? I think that's probably accurate. Let's see here. Versace Crocs. Why did the State Department thank Trump for the ceasefire, little bro? I didn't see that reporting. That sounds like bullshit to me. Tim, blocking anyone with an opinion that doesn't align with your own sounds about right. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing, Tim. I'm blocking people who are spreading bullshit propaganda and not engaging. Drew Kolnar, Biden Kamala never been to the border. Bye bye Kamala, you're fired. That is inaccurate. That is bullshit propaganda. You are out of here. Let's see here. This person says it's on X, and you are aware that X is a right-wing propaganda channel, correct, Versace Crocs? You are aware that X is an extremely unreliable place for information. Are you aware of that, Versace Crocs? You know, I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just trying to figure out if you're somebody who has been conned by Republican lies, or if you're being paid to spread Republican lies, or if you are doing it on purpose because you want to spread Republican lies. Like, what is the vibe here, man? Let's see here. Scrolling down to the bottom. Najee says, grown man craving attention. Are you talking about me? I mean, I'm a stand-up comedian, so an argument could be made. I'm a middle child, so an argument could be made, but, you know, that is not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to educate people. Bryce, bad idea across the board. Ridiculous. 40% of New York City buildings couldn't be built today because of regulations. Yeah, there's such a thing as bad regulations, but being deregulation across the board is dumb. Because it's like the regulations that are keeping our air clean and our water clean and our food safe to eat and our medicine safe to take. Like, are those the regulations you're talking about? I think the people that died at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory would disagree with your idea of deregulation. I think that the unions would have an issue with your idea of deregulation. I think building safety standards, the people that lived in that condo in Florida that fucking fell over for no fucking reason, would agree that regulations are probably a good thing. Tiger7474 banning TikToks because of Republicans. They are why TikTok may be banned. I mean, Donald Trump has ultimate say of whether or not the TikTok ban goes into effect, so it's really up to him. Blasphemaster, what are some good examples of deregulation? I mean, I don't remember. I don't know any offhand, but there are definitely some bad regulations. There's a thing called regulatory capture where really profitable companies will lobby the government to put into place regulations that make it difficult for small businesses to exist. And, you know, getting rid of regulatory capture is a great example of deregulation. Bryce, I'm agreeing with you that it's nuanced depending on regulations. Yeah, but, you know, my issue with the Republican Party is that they don't believe in that nuance. They believe in cutting regulations across the board because they want rich people to have more money. They believe in the free market, taking care of things, where they think that just, you know, if a company poisons our air to the point where all these kids are fucking dying of cancer in certain areas, they believe that the free market is going to solve that, when regulation is a much better mechanism for that. Let's see here. Lead 60. Without regulations, banks could do anything to take our money, raise interest. Exactly. Vortec 42. You don't want more money. I do want more money. I think everybody does. KDL the Wolf. What do you think the belief assumption that black people must be Democrats? What do I think of the belief assumption that black people must be Democrats? I mean, just statistically, that has been more true than not true. The Democratic Party is, you know, the party that is responsible for more, legislation that has helped Black America than the Republican Party. I mean, and we're talking about after the party switch, of course, because then there are going to be right-wing trolls on here who are going to say, oh, Abraham Lincoln was Republican, he freed the slaves and shit like that. So I'm talking about after the switch, of course. So yeah, if you're looking at, you know, voting in your best interest and what has happened historically, then yeah, Black Americans tend to be more Democratic than not. But they're not a monolith. No community is a monolith. Let's see here. Manuel MXL says, does religion belong in politics? No. Jay, the hostage deal is a result of Trump's historic election win. That is propaganda, and you are out of here. Let's see here. All right. NO says, Republicans and Democrats are all the same bits, one big clump, and we're not in it. That is completely inaccurate. No. I'm going to give you an opportunity to not be cynical here. No. But when you say that both parties are the same, you give cover for the worst party. When you say all politicians are the same, you give cover for the worst politicians, and you are ignoring all of the good that comes out of good political parties and good politicians. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to stick around, no, but, engage with me on this if you are still not convinced. Corsi says hostage deal equals Trump effect. No, that is not accurate. and that is not a question, so you are out of here. Leeds 60. A purely capitalist nations would probably lead to a fascist nations. Do you agree? Completely agree. And we're staring down the barrel of that right now. You know, like that is part of the issue that we have with the Republican Party, is that they facilitate shit like that. It's DJ Nemo says, you look like you don't know nothing about politics, bro. Okay, cool. Well, you look like you are not here anymore because you've been blocked by my mods already. Thank you, Rena. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Vortec 42. How do you know that ain't true? How do I know that what ain't true, Vortec? Trump 2024 says Trump doubled the share of black in his voting. That is very poor English. I think you need to tell your Russian tutor to, up the lessons. Alex Nieves, to the earlier Jarrett, airlines, telecom, AT&T, trucking, energy, craft beer, etc., good for deregulation. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would need to dig into all those specific industries. But yeah, I'm not really sure where, are those examples where regulatory capture was keeping smaller airlines or telecom companies or trucking or energy out of the market? Because, yeah, I'm not 100% sure of the history of energy regulation, craft beer regulation, trucking regulation. Ryan H., why do you genuinely think Kamala lost the election? Misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, and incumbency bias. And I can get into that more if you like. Let's see here. Will, thoughts on the corruption in the Supreme Court? It is rampant. It is part of the Republican Party's platform. And I think that if we want to have a change, you're going to have to vote for Democrats, guys. We got to convince everybody to vote for Democrats if we want to change our corrupt judicial system. Alex Nieves, people are always confused between regulations going away and what deregulation is. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Sarah Conkle, how many people are going to be at the inauguration? Hopefully a smaller amount that would be. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of rich people there fucking bending the knee and kissing Trump's ass so that he'll fucking help them steal more money from the rest of us. Ryan H., so you think she ran a great campaign and did everything she could to win? Yeah, generally. She had 107 days to mount her political campaign, where people usually plan their presidential runs for over a year. I think she did a great job. She definitely made mistakes, but they're not nearly as bad as the mistakes the Trump administration made. Why do his mistakes not count and hers do? Why do her little mistakes count more than his big mistakes? I think it has to do with propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and incumbency bias. Kat says 100%. Thank you so much. KDL the Wolf, do you think there's a difference between progressives and Democrats enough for a new party? I mean, it just depends on who you're asking. There's a progressive wing of the Democratic Party. There's a centrist wing of the Democratic Party. There's the young wing of the Democratic Party. There's the, octogenarian gerontocracy version of the Democratic Party. And, how many politicians align with which side is, I don't know, anybody's guess. I guess you need to look at some voting numbers and start, doing a lot of deep polling into the different politicians that are in the party. But yeah, I don't think it serves anybody to create two parties where there was one for the Democratic Party, because that's just vote splitting, and that's just, lending more spoilers for Republicans winning elections going forward. I think we need to be more strategic about it, and I think that we need to think about kicking out the bad politicians and rewarding the good politicians, and kicking out the bad political party and rewarding the good political party, or at least the better political party, I should say. White Sheep over on YouTube says Jimmy Carter had some decent deregulation in railroads, airlines, trucking. Oh yeah, I guess this is what what's his name was saying on TikTok also. And energy, which were all heavily controlled by the government. The last example of beneficial widespread deregulation. I'm not an expert in the Carter administration. I'm much more of an expert in Jimmy Carter post-election and all the good that he did, and how he became kind of like the archetype for what a great post-presidency looks like. But yeah, I'll definitely look into that. This seems very interesting. Let's see here. User a whole bunch of numbers says participation in primaries needs to increase. Abso-fucking-lutely. User a whole bunch of numbers. I wish that you had a fucking name and a profile picture so I could hype you up even more. But user a whole bunch of numbers. You fucking nailed it. Primaries, midterms, we got to get our voter participation up. Our voter participation in this country is fucking pathetic. And getting more people to vote is the only way that we're going to fucking change in this country. 80 million people did not vote. 100. I need to actually look it up. I wrote it down. I just got back from tour, guys. I took a red eye from Hawaii yesterday. I'm fucking tired. Let's see here. Yeah, 30 million. There were 85 million people who could have voted in this past election but did not. And that is transformative because not even Donald Trump got that many votes. You know, he only got 77 million votes. The highest our voter participation numbers were in this country was the 2020 election. It was still only 65%, which is fucking pathetic. So yeah, vote in primaries, vote in midterms. Primaries are where you punish politicians. Not voting is not how you punish politicians. Bryce, do you think the current red trend is only due to misinformation? I think that misinformation and the incumbency bias, yeah. Mello, in all seriousness, do you believe... Oh, and also lack of education. Statistically, the less education that you have, the more likely you are to vote Republican, and our education system has been decimated by Reaganomics. Let's see here. Zoo House Rescue says, vote for who, though? There's never a trustable candidate. That's not true. There's lots of trustable candidates. You just have to find them. And if you can't find a trustable candidate, find the more trustworthy candidates. You know, because there's always better and there's always worse. And I think they should be voting for better as opposed to worse. Lead 60, do you think politics should be taught in school so young people will understand they have power? Absolutely. I think, you know, talk about civics, talk about history, and talk about, you know, the way that politics influences your life. Laura, or run for something. Yeah, run for something as a group to support, but also as a directive, meaning you all should run for something. Sarah Conkle, are Americans off of TikTok soon, or is Elon buying TikTok? I have no fucking idea. All right, guys, I am pretty tired. I just got back from tour, so I'm going to do my outro, and then I'm going to take a couple of final questions. I always take final questions after the outro, so please stick around. I really appreciate everybody being here, and I hope that you guys who are watching will keep an eye out for me should anything happen to TikTok. I stream on Twitch and YouTube and sometimes Facebook as well. I'm on all the social media platforms. You can check out my shit at jarrettberenstein.com. My website is in my profile on TikTok, everywhere, jarrettberenstein.com. Check it out. I'm trying to put my anchor down in case anything happens to TikTok so that all these people who are watching, all these people who like me can go find me somewhere else, jarrettberenstein.com. I appreciate any support that you can give me, whether it's the free kind like shares and likes, or if you can do financial, that's great too. You know, I have a Patreon that I think I have one subscriber on. If you're watching my one subscriber, thank you for being a subscriber. I appreciate it. You know, you can even go to my Patreon and tell me why you're not subscribing. I would appreciate that too, because I want to create content for the people that like my stuff, you know? Yeah, gifts is good. Go to my Spring store is good as well. But really, any kind of support, even if it's the free kind, I appreciate. My normal streaming schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from 12 p.m. Starting at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I often start early because I really like it. But you know, this week is weird because I just got back from tour and I'm extremely tired, and my wife is working from home because of the fires in California. Let's see here. Anything else in my outro? Yes, so also just please don't be despondent. Please don't be cynical. Please don't be defeatist. There's always work to do, whether you are in the deepest red state or the deepest blue state. If we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. And the only way that we get through the next 4 years is if we all do the work and we all help each other. Nobody lets go of anyone's hand. All right, let's get to some final questions here. Half-Blood Nation, I would say I'm going to miss you, but I doubt it. Okay, well, I'm not going to miss you either. I don't even fucking know who you are, Half-Blood Nation. Mello, in all seriousness, do you believe Trump could be the final president of the United States? No, he's going to die one day. Let's see here. Ruben says, why are Democrats anti-freedom? They're not. Alex Nieves, and delete the spammers and the haters. I don't know what that's in reference to. Will that thrill 315? Would you support Gavin Newsom if he ran for POTUS? Not in the primary, but definitely in the general. Let's see here. NO says, is New York next? Next for what? Let's see here. NO, where will they attack after LA? What do you mean? Who attacked LA? KDL the Wolf, do you think it would be good to take a break from presidency for a while? Are you talking about like a dictatorship instead? No, I do not. Darian says, I'll miss you. You don't have to miss me. I'm going to still be around, you know? You just gotta follow me on a different platform, you know? Mace 28, why don't we use the Jack Smith report to impeach Donald Trump? I mean, the issue is that we don't have any representation that is willing to impeach him because Republicans have the House and the Senate. If you want to impeach Donald Trump, you have to vote for Democrats. You have to vote for enough Democrats that they can impeach Donald Trump. I think about this all the fucking time because, you know, people have these policies that they really want Democrats to do, and the Democrats are like, all right, we'll do that, but you got to give us like 65 Senate seats and you got to give us a majority in the House. And the voters are like, we'll give you 51 senators instead. And then you're like, all right, well, there's only so much we can do then. And then everybody gets pissed that they didn't do all the things that they wanted them to do, you know? Roger says, talking impeachment again? Are you people serious? Yeah, because Trump is extremely corruptible. He's done so many crimes. He's done so many things worth impeaching him for. I think it's weird that you don't think that that is the thing, Roger. Let's see here. Mello, do you think Democrats could retake the Senate by 2030? Yeah, if people ask for them. Mello, if people vote for Democrats, then they will. Mello, the Senate is rigged for rural voters. Yeah, you know, and I don't have a lot of faith that people are going to be able to pop out of the misinformation environment and start voting for Democrats en masse, but we'll see, you know. It's definitely possible. You know, stranger things have happened. People thought that the Republican Party was completely unstoppable when Bush won re-election in 2004, and then in 2008, Democrats had a supermajority. They had the House, and they had the presidency. Let's see here. Mystic3777 says, work on 2026 to get Democrats elected. Completely agree about that. Let's see here. Back the Blue says, nobody cares about Democrats at all. Cry about it. That's an example of the kind of comment that gets you blocked, because I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but at least be part of the conversation. Roger, I thought you all believed in democracy. Just crazy and corrupt. I don't know what you're talking about, Roger. Sphinx Egyptian, will farmers and working class get Democrats votes when they get betrayed by Trump terms? I'm skeptical that that's going to happen. Like, it didn't happen at all during the Trump, the first Trump administration. The only reason why Trump lost 2020 is because more people were inspired to vote against him than were inspired to vote for him. No matter what goes wrong during the Trump administration, he's going to find somebody else to blame, and there are people out there who are going to fall for that. So, and they're going to fall for the misinformation that says that it's better to not vote than to vote. Let's see here. Jack, realistically, what could someone who lives in a deep blue state do to help more? A lot of the deep blue states are run by more centrist Democrats, and they tend to do policies and, they tend to be a little bit more centrist policy-wise. You know, New York City elected Eric Adams for, mayor, and he's basically just like a fucking, pro-cop Republican. He's fucking corrupt as hell, like there's still work to be done. Progressive, Democratic states can become progressive states as opposed to centrist milquetoast fucking, Eric Adams, Mike Bloomberg, fucking New York shit. There's work to do. There's work to do. And there's a lot of people that don't vote, even in blue states. There are people who don't vote because they fall for the propaganda that because Gavin Newsom isn't the progressive champion that they want him to be, then it's not worth it to vote for him. So, voter outreach and, small political action groups, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. As much as I think it is better to live in a blue state than a red state, blue states are not perfect, and there is work that needs to be done. MFox02138, moderate Dems are same as what used to be moderate Republicans. Yeah, I mean, an argument could be made. I don't know if I buy that 100%. Heather says, thanks for answering Q's chat. Thank you, Heather. Thanks for being here. Let's see here. Not showing my pretty faces. You can also phone bank in red states. Yeah, completely agree with that. There are a lot of different ways that you can do the work even if you live in a blue state. I completely agree with that. All right, everybody. I am tired. I am so happy to be back. This was a really fun stream for me. I am worried about the next 4 years, but I think that if we all do the work and we all work together, I think we can get through it. So don't be despondent. Don't be cynical. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, like I said, I just got back from the road and I'm fucking exhausted. So we'll see. We'll see if I have enough gas in the tank to stream tomorrow, but I'll try. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.